And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and welcome to the Dice Tower. I review a lot of games over the course of a year, and I tell you exactly what I think of them, whether it is good or it is bad. And every once in a while, I don't know if I do this every 6 months or so, I accumulate a pile of games that I really don't like, and at the same time, I feel like I don't want to put forth the effort into really delving more into the game. So this is a first negative impressions of sorts, and I'm just going to pass on these games. And so if you love these games, of course, then you are certainly welcome to say, Tom, you got it completely off base here because you didn't play it enough, perhaps. But I think my first impressions are pretty solid, for at least me anyway, as to whether I'll like the game or not. So I'm going to go through these games real quickly, going through 8 different games here, from my, the one I didn't like very much down to one I absolutely abhor and think should be burned, to the point where I considered burning it on camera, but I didn't. So here we go. First we have Escape Pods. This is from Two Tomatoes. This is a game in which you are flying a spaceship out and you're just trying to get people to safety. And you're fighting over the different people that are involved. Really bad rules, really bad components. Right there, those two things were both so bad that I almost stopped playing the game halfway through. That's how bad both of those were, and that's a negative thing. But at the end of the day, you have these actions you can pick. You pick the same actions all the time. There's just a few actions to pick, like move a spaceship. You will pick that almost every single time. And then I wasn't even sure what to do with a lot of different actions because the rules were so poor on this one. This is a very forgettable game, unfortunately, Escape Pods. Then we have the Dwarves. Now, it's been a long time since I've been looking at this game. In fact, so long that when Sam Healy was here at Dice Tower, he played this with me because I figured this would be up his alley. He likes dwarves. Well, first of all, you are dwarves fighting back orcs and other things, which are a bunch of cubes. The game is so boring and so blasé. So here's a picture of the game. That's what it looks like, and I cannot emphasize just how boring it looks. It's a cooperative game, and it's just so random, so crazily random. You roll dice and try to fight these guys off. There's not a lot you can, you have a bunch of actions that you can take. You can get more weapons and things, but at the end of the day, so many of your actions are roll a die and see if you succeed or not. And you do that so much over the course of the game. At the end, I feel like there's no strategy. It's really boring and pretty much themeless and extremely lucky. Huge miss for me here. And it has like a pile of awards on it here on the side, but not one from me, that's for sure. The next one of all the games on my list is my biggest disappointment because I was super pumped about it, and that's Plunderbund. Now, Plunderbund, you're a guild, and you're in sort of almost a Terry Pratchett universe in a sense. You have all these different fantasy things. I'll have to say right now, that theme isn't there at all. It has really cool components and things like that, but it is a deck building game of a sort, but it is so mind-numbingly work to play. You are constantly sticking cards in your deck that don't do anything. It is an area control game on the board, but it just felt like I was taking all these extra steps to control things, and as deck building, the whole game felt like work. Like not once during the course of the game was I like, ooh, that was fun. Never. And it was obtuse on what to do. Really great theme, really cool idea. And at the end of the day, it just didn't congeal into an interesting game at all. So that's Plunderbund. Then we have Brutality. Now this game, I'm sure, is going to sell based on the miniatures because the miniatures are absolutely really cool. They're, I was about to say gorgeous, but they're pretty gross actually. And in this game, you take a couple characters, and these characters are going to be moving in various ways. So you pick a character and they can move around the board in specific ways. When I first heard about that, I thought, what a cool idea, kind of like a chess game. But the fact is that you move around the board, it's really slow, it's really boring, and you are consistently going, boop, I did a damage to you. And then you move around and boop, I did a damage to you. Boop. And it's like a finger poking match until eventually someone dies. Cool miniatures, cool idea, bad graphic design, boring gameplay, and has nothing. Brutality, I don't get the name at all. Very big miss for me. Going Postal. Now, this one here is a game that someone who I know very well came to me and said this game is fantastic and cool and really bad components. It's about delivering it's about delivering packages, but kind of in a weird way. Like you want to deliver a package to someone when they're not home, and therefore you can claim that they weren't there, and so you can skip their house or something to that effect. I hate when that happens in real life, and doing it in a game, I want to hit myself for being a bad post office person. Really bad components. It's a simultaneous selection game where if you pick the same thing as it's like if I pick this and you pick that, and it's the same thing all the time, and you literally will know what people are going to pick. There's like no stress or tension throughout the game at all. You pick the same thing as other people, and the more players, the worse it gets. This was just horrifically bad. We're not done yet. We got Sherlock, the Tomb of the Archaeologist. Now, this is a really, really small game that you can play solo. So the way this game works is there's a lot of cards here with various clues and information. And so you're going to go through these cards, and you can play this solo or you can play it with other people. I actually played it solo. And you look at some cards and go, I'm going to keep this I'm going to keep this evidence, or I'm going to get rid of this evidence, and you decide as the game goes by. And at the end, you answer some questions based on the evidence that you have kept. Guess what? It's just random. I don't get this game at all. You literally just go, this evidence seems good, but it might not be. There's critical piece of evidence that can be thrown away because you just think it's not worth it. You have no way of telling. It's also really, for a game that's about a case, the cards in here, so let me open this back up here. So this card here, there's just three top officials from the Peruvian government traveled to London on the same ship as Carter. That's it. The artwork's not that good. There's like no interesting story. It's really boring, and I was not impressed with this one at all. And again, I know that this game was touted as, hey, it's a solo game. Yeah, well, I tried it that way. I don't want to play with other people. It would be even worse. Dead Throne World of Veles. Huge, huge game. And it is crazily bad. It's as if the person who made this game never played another game except Talisman and said, I can fix that. Bad rules, really bad rules. Some components are good, some are not. But essentially, on the course of this game, a huge map, all these things, you're walking around in a very generic fantasy world, because that's the kind of fantasy worlds that exist in bad games. You walk around, you go to different areas, and you turn a card over, which could kill you, or you can get ahead. It's random. Everywhere you go, I pick this. Oh, something bad happens. I go here, pick something. You're literally rolling and moving, walking around the board, randomly having good or bad things happen to you. Then you can go to the store and armor up. It really is like a teenager made the game and said, okay, here's the game. And it's just not good at all. All right, now this one is an easy pick for me, so I apologize. But Monopoly, longest game ever. Now, I know this game was probably made as a joke. But in this game, they doubled the size of the board here. And to win the game, you need to own every piece. I am convinced at this point that this game cannot be played. I think this game was made as a joke to give to people, although it's a lot of money to waste on a joke. There's really weird things in this game. So, for example, in this game, you have money, but the money can be ripped in half or cut in half. There's no perforations on these, so you can rip the money in half to pay your debt. So I could rip this in half and then rip it in half again to give people money. So it's really weird. You're ruining the money. The pieces for the game are really low quality. I mean, these are the cards. It's that they put no effort into this game at all. And you have to have every piece on the board. You can make, if you're in debt, you're bankrupt, but you're not out of the game, you can come back in the game. If you land on somebody else's property, you can buy it from them. This game is literally made to go on forever. Now, I have my love-hate affair with Monopoly. It's done a lot for me in my life. I play Monopoly. I don't like Monopoly at all. But as my childhood, it's a game that's had a great effect on my life. This, though, is just trash. Now, definitely Monopoly and Hasbro have been doing this. They've been publishing a lot of trashy versions of Monopoly, trying to get a lot of people to talk about the game, I would guess. But this takes it to a level that's just ridiculous. Having to own every property, and considering there's multiples of every property. Again, this is the board, or half the board. That's idiotic. Really bad components, ways to make it so that the game will never end. I'm convinced there's no one on earth who's played this through to the finish. I'm convinced it wasn't meant to be done that way. And it's just a way to part people from their money, which is a huge crime in my book. So there you go. Now, to be fair, all these games, with the exception of this one, all these games probably have their fans. Some of these games were put up on Kickstarter. Some of these games, are obviously all designed by people who wanted people to enjoy their games, except for this one. So take my words with a grain of salt. But I just wanted to give you quick opinions on all these because I likely won't be doing a full review of them. But at least this way I can give you a quick shout out to each of these games. Alrighty, well, other reviews are going up this week. I won't be doing this all the time. I save up a bunch of games and then get this done and over with. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.